Growing up, my favorite way to learn about paranormal stories was by my father reading to me or going and listening to people share their stories. So that later, when I became a teenager, one of my most hyper-focused things was researching areas' history and their haunted stories. And so then, when I had the opportunity to travel all over the United States, I made a point, if I could, to go join either like the standard tour or the haunted tour, or there was a few times I was able to join a paranormal group. My favorite thing afterwards, everybody would sit around and share their experiences, or memories would come up from times before, or maybe stories that were told to them from other people that had been in the area. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun, since I have been doing this off and on throughout my life, that I would create a little playlist and kind of share my stories. So I'm doing this in the vein of the way things were once upon a time, where it wasn't so much about proving it and documenting it. It's for the sheer joy of sharing the story. So as we are approaching the end of October and Samhain or Halloween or whatever word you want to call it, I thought this was the perfect time of the year to start this little playlist, and I would probably add to it throughout the year whenever I'm inspired to share one of my stories, but I thought that I would share at least a couple a week as we are leading up to the end of the month. So here we go. This story falls along the lines of, it's not always what you think. So in 2008, we were hit really hard with the recession. We lost our jobs, which led us to lose our house, lose our cars. We had to start over from scratch. When we lost our house, we sold all our possessions so that we could have money to just get into a new apartment. And I should also mention that at the same time, we had a 1-year-old baby. So 2008 for us was really difficult. We ended up having to get a lot of assistance, and one of those assistance was finding an apartment for low income. And when we moved in, it was like the best thing ever because we weren't going to be homeless. So we move in. I did the most witchy thing. I gave a blessing at the front door, at the back door, and of course at all the windows. I did a moon water wash and really brought in some positive energy. This was going to be the beginning of a new start for us. I wanted to focus on that and not the depression that we were both experiencing from losing everything. And the first night we slept wonderful. Second night, third night, and it was about after 1 week that I began to notice I was waking up frequently during the night with the sensation that something in the corner was staring at me. At first, it was just kind of an awareness of it, and then I would go back to sleep. But then after about a month, it became unnerving. Even though it didn't bother me per se, the awareness of it became unavoidable. I would walk in my bedroom and just expect this sensation. So I did a little bit more of a cleansing energies the following Monday. I didn't want to go into a full salt cleanse because I wasn't sure what it was that I was picking up yet. And I wanted to make sure I went through the whole thing of debunking, understanding, and if I could, connect with it to understand what was happening. For me, being what I do, I wanted to go through and make sure that it wasn't residual. So we're living in a low-income housing, which means there's going to be a lot of emotions connected to it, a lot of stress, concern, worry. Everybody has kids. Everybody is struggling to find work at the time. And then I need to take into account that the reason that we lost everything is the 3 major plants in the area closed. And so there was a lot of people experiencing what we were experiencing. I didn't automatically want to jump into a full-on banishment and salt cleansing of this area. I wanted to make sure what was going on so that I was responsible with my witcheries. So I spent some time kind of connecting with it over the next few moon cycles, literally leaving space and a candle open for whatever this was. I wanted to make sure I didn't invite anything malicious in, because sometimes when you are dealing with depression, it does open the door for other energies to kind of want to come in and observe or attach themselves, whatever. Not normal, but it could happen. So I wanted to make sure that I was kind of really paying attention to everything, going into meditation, seeing what I could see, what I can sense, what I could feel. And that was about, so like 3 months in, that was about the time that I was aware of a mimicking behavior. So my wife would be downstairs in the living room doing something, and I would be in the kitchen, and I would hear her say, "Oh, come here." And so I would go in there, and she would look at me like, "Yes, what'd you need?" I'm like, "Didn't you just ask me to come here?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "Okay." And so I would walk back in the kitchen, look at the windows, see if I heard like someone outside or something. And then I would go back to what I was doing. So that kind of behavior started to happen almost every day. I would be going upstairs and I would hear like my son downstairs or upstairs, or I would hear my wife, or one time I had some friends over and they heard me upstairs, but I was actually outside. And so it wasn't like full conversations. It wasn't interactive. It was just this kind of a parroting back of things that we say. Like we would hear, "I love you." We would hear, "Hey, could you help me?" Or, "Hey, come here." Or, "Oh my gosh, come look at this." Like common things that that my family would say to each other every day. I started to realize that this particular energy could be PK, that is maybe left behind and has just been so fed into that it's become its own thing, or it could be something else. And I was leaning on something else because it had the energy to pair it back and for me to become aware of it, like watching me at night, but it wasn't doing anything that was per se scary. The mimicking back is freaky, but in my book, that's not scary. It's just like something trying to get your attention. And so I decided I was going to connect with the trees in the area and the land in the area, give some offerings. I set up a little table with a journal to add in things that like what we were experiencing. And I made sure that I put items on that table that were from the area, like a leaf from the tree or a rock that I found. There was one day that they were mowing the lawn, and so I collected up a couple pieces of the grass clippings and put them in a little bowl. Nearby there was a river, and so I went by and got a little jar of river water, things like this. And I began to focus on healing the area and opening a way of communication through meditation. Of course, when I do this, I do all my own protections to make sure that I'm not tapping into something that is going to be, what is the word, deceptive, or that is like truly trying to mimic something and then like feed in on our negativity. As I said, when we are in places that have a lot of emotions and a lot of worry and a lot of stress, that can be very destructive energy, and sometimes it can lead to PK things. Okay, so long story short, after another month or so, I noticed that the feelings at night were beginning to decrease. I wasn't like nervous about taking a shower without having like a see-through shower curtain or something. And the mimicking of my wife and I began to decrease. And I began to realize in the meditations that whatever this was, it did feel connected to the land. And so what I started to do was whenever it rained, I would gather some of that rain and I would put my blessings into healing any energy that had maybe offended that earth energy. I began to focus, not ignoring it, and putting in like a lot of energy towards healing in the area of apology for perhaps when these townhomes were put in, maybe there weren't land blessings. And then I went ahead for my rental. I put in like a reset energy balance, cleaning, healing. And when I did that, I began to feel friendship. Now, I've been working with whatever was going on in my home for a few months, And so, of course, you're going to start feeling more familiar with it. But what I began to notice in kind of a funny way is things around my home would go missing. And then I would say, okay, I really need that back now. Could you please show back up? And it would show back up like in the middle of the living room on the coffee table, or it would show up in the kitchen on the table. And then I began to notice something interesting happening with me and my wife. So it went on for a few months before we actually shared it. But we started to notice that if we would lose something around the house, and I don't mean like keys, but like say in the spring we put away our glove and mittens in a safe place, and then come autumn we couldn't find them and we didn't know where they were, and then we would pick up like a mental image that would pop in our head of where they were, and I would walk over and look in this like storage box, and there they were. Or I couldn't figure out what shelf I put a book on. We have a lot of bookshelves. I couldn't figure out what shelf I put a particular book on. And then I would get like a flash of where the book was. And after a while of this, I began to realize that the mimic was really just this energy that had been ignored and was just simply looking for connection. And I feel that I made a friend, as a nerdy witch would do. And I feel that this energy kind of goes all over the place in the land, but it has like kinship now with me and my family, and it comes and goes. So that was a while ago, and we have since moved. And I'm going to say that this energy actually followed us. Because it's like from this area, it just realized that we moved. And in the same way that like your friend is going to go to your new place to see you, that's what happened. And I just think that that's one of those like really awesome stories that it started off eerie and scary. And because I didn't overreact in the very beginning, it allowed me to create like a friendship with the nature spirits. So that is my story of the mimic of 2008. I think it's a fun story. So my witchy advice would be, when something like this happens, don't always be reactive to immediate banishments, because it could be something that just needs a proactive, instinctual. Not everything of this world is understood or explainable. I still can't explain what exactly this is, other than I know in a I know kind of way that is something that is of the nature realm. And for years it had just negative energy, and receiving some positive energy really did change everything. And now, even though we've moved, when it comes around, there's still that sensation. And there's a distinct smell when it comes around. It's like mossy. So it's another indicator that it's of earth energy saying hi. So if you are experiencing this, trust your instincts. If you feel sick to your stomach when it comes around, that it probably is something that needs to be cleansed. And if you don't, if you just feel like, oh, what's that? Then maybe it's something that just needs to say, you can say hi and send it on its way. Or maybe it's something that is a friend of the area. Treat it like a local raven that has seen you as a friend, and will come and go as it pleases. So up to you. Hopefully you're having a beautiful day or night wherever you are. And as always, happy witching.